Is that a lineup of cars? Oh, I think it is. It's like a parking lot. So I'm here at Upper Canada College. This is right at the top of Avenue Road. Nice spire there. There's a cannon right there. It's a private school. There's a big pointy there. Here comes a car, so I'll move. But there goes the... You got this building here with the big columns on it. It's a huge, huge building inside. I don't know what they use it for, like an auditorium, I think. And then it's big field, but I like this building here with the sunken windows there. And then these windows, I feel like these windows are for blocking frequencies, right? They use them at hydro buildings and stuff like that. They have those all the way around it. And I think it's telling of why they would need those windows if that building right there was some sort of power plant, right? It's a private school. They like to give these buildings to kids specifically, but particularly rich kids, because they're the only ones that it's really going to matter in 20, 40, 60 years. If they believe the bullshit, then society believes the bullshit, right? There's a big old tree right there. That's a cool tree. And here, there's a big park back there. Look at these posts right there. This guy's a jerk. Didn't you know that I'm trying to film right here? Just that you can see it all the way down. And right at the end of that street right there, you can see Queen's Park. It goes down and up and down and up, and there's Queen's Park. Perfectly aligned, and look at what's up there. That little ball. We're gonna see a lot of those balls. So you got to go around here, but that'll be where the street is going straight down. But I just wanted to point out a couple things. There's the sunken windows in this building here. You got the parking building right here with the bullshit V's in building and all that shit to try to pretend like it's old. But I swear somebody carved every one of these in the whole city all in the same week or something. They sent a couple of guys, a crew out to carve all this bullshit. I wonder why why they ran out of space, so they had to put the two O's together at the end. I don't know, that thing's bullshit to me, but not the crest above it, whatever that stuff means. Palmen, Q-U-I-M-E-R-V-I-T, Ferrat. I wonder if you can see that in the video. And then right beside it, you'll have the battery, the arc. That will be the battery for this whole complex. In that hypothesis, in that free energy hypothesis, that would be, so 1895 to 1902, master. Edward Robert Peacock. I wonder if that's a real person. You got this. Stone was laid by Her Excellency the Countess of Minto on the 15th of June. Oh, what's that saying? 1991, I think. Oh, 1991, does that say? I don't know. Looks older than that to me. And then this is weird to me. It's just missing. There's just a bunch of glue and stuff there. I don't know. Anyways, the John David Eaton. Oh, and then we have the Timothy Eaton Memorial Church, which is directly, if you were to fly right there, that's where Timothy Eaton Church is, I think. Huh. Okay, I'm gonna go down there right now. So I'm going to try to do this at the red light. We're at St. Clair Ave right now, and there you can see, right at the tippy top of the hill, is Upper Canada College. There's St. Clair Ave. What do we have? The ultimate pointy up there in the background. This is like Korean consulate. This is the Ministry of the Environment right there. And I tried to look up what this church was called, but it's not, on Google Maps it's not listed as a church. It might be owned by somebody else now. So I guess maybe it's technically not a church, but that's a church. And I like this building right there with the big arch in it right there. The windows, the light isn't in my favor, but that's fine. Let's take a little walk around. Hopefully my car is all right. So I can see some pointies right there at the crest of this hill. Whoops. And Timothy Eaton Church is right after those buildings. So right through where that other Eaton, I forget what his name was a second ago, up there was that Eaton College or whatever, that master. Amsterdam Square right there. And then Timothy Eaton Memorial Church is right there, which I covered already in one of my St. Clair West videos. That's all Forest Hill. Back there is all the big $50 million houses and everything. This is St. Clair West. Down there ultimately is going to be the church, what I posted it on Old World Toronto last week, the Church of the Sisters of Perpetual Mercy or whatever, that's at Mount Pleasant. And right through there, there's another right at St. Clair and Yonge, which I don't think I'm going to fit into this video, but it'll probably be in my Sisters of the Perpetual, whatever it's called, video. I'm going to move up next. You can see that old house building right there. There's the Balmoral up there, which is, I'm going to go up to the next block right there at Balmoral. So I don't know much about the royal family, but that's the Balmoral. I know the royal family has a mansion called the Balmoral. And then there's the graded street that goes down and up all the way to that thing. Better get off the road. And then you'll see this goes graded down and up. You got the pointies right there. The Balmoral, oh, you have those little pointies up there. Looks like the top of Queen's Park. It looks exactly like the top of Queen's Park. But I guess I'll just, as an aside here, the Balmoral's a pretty cool building. It's got a lot of those what's called resonators. Something missing from up there. Small windows there. Balmoral. Is there something missing up there? That's that same, maybe not. It doesn't look the same as what I was, the fake V's on the government buildings and all that shit. It doesn't look like the same crew did it that day that they were out. So there goes Upper Canada College. I guess my car's okay. I'm gonna keep going. You got the big yellow brick building. That would be the anode to maybe that red building's cathode, right? All these buildings along here go red, yellow, red, yellow, red, yellow. I'm gonna go get the car and then pull up, I think right here. But check this building. Yeah, I'll be right back. I think this is the Iron Gate that the homie Mystery North was talking about. I think there's a date up there. I'm not sure. But that's a quote-unquote Tartarian Iron Gate, maybe. I don't know enough about that particular thing, but it seems like it. I don't know what's in there. I don't know if that's a residence or a government. Could very well be government buildings, I guess. The Balmoral. It's got the sunken windows, the different levels. So this hill is clearly fake. Like this hill is clearly done, you know, mid-reset. One of the many resets that I think we've had. This hill covered up a couple floors of the Balmoral, at least. See, you can actually see it right there. That door is sunken, right? And these windows, they're that size there, but then they get smaller and smaller. I mean, I guess because of that thing. But that's an underground feature right there. That's clearly. You got the little pointies up there. You got the big pointy right there. So this is that building I left off at. Look at this building, guys. Let's see, you got sunken windows there. You got all this design work here. Somebody might come out and get mad. I should have done that in a different order. That's fine. What's that? There's a boat. A couple of griffins or lions. There's the sunken windows. That's a bunch of grapes and fruit. But look what we have up there. Not there, there. And there. The angels. We don't carve angels into buildings anymore, do we? No, we don't. We don't even carve stuff like this into buildings. Sunken entrances. There's those curly whirlies. There's more angels. You have the graded hill, artificially graded for the pathways of the frequencies that would be coming out of those spires at Upper Canada College. And what do you have here? So there's Upper Canada College up there. I've shown every single spire that the frequencies would connect to along the way. So there has to be one here, right? Well, you have those up there that shows you that this is the spot for them. Look at that one back there too. All the way down here, complete graded, perfectly graded hill down to Queen's Park. And look what you have right there. There's one. And there's two. De La Salle College, so another school. You can see the grading difference. You can see the artificial grading of the hill very clearly. That one, that guy's going in the door on ground level. This one needs stairs. That one needs a whole stoop. You know, we're not stupid anymore, guys. Look at what's right there. That's all your... That's how you connect it halfway down the hill. This perfectly graded hill, just like all the other ones in Toronto. And you can see all these buildings right there. It's all the old 1800s styles buildings. So this is 394 Avenue Road, the Benvenuto. And look what it has. Was that the snake? There's a couple owls. There's a bunch of dragons and snakes. See, like the brickwork, and even those, that's like some, what's it called? Railroad style engineering to be able to supposedly be structurally sound enough to hold that building on top of it, although that building could just have 7 basements, you don't know. Mystery North likes to point out those are dope. Those are actually really dope. I don't know if you'd call that a gas light, but those lights are, I wouldn't mind having one of those in my living room. I wonder what that construction is there. And that building behind it looks like a big church or like a big, you know, reception hall or whatever. Like, That big triangle roof there. I don't know what that is. People, Torontonians might just know exactly what it is. I don't know. But all these buildings along here are all interesting, old looking buildings. Look at this one. With all the vines and everything on it. That's cool. It's got the Tartarian. I don't know what's up with those, but they're all over the city. Those things. Mystery North calls them curly whirlies. I guess those aren't quite curly whirlies, but they are that. And if anybody knows about electricity that I don't, what are those smokestacks for? Yo, look at that up there. That's cool. Hypothetically, somebody help me out. If I'm right and all of this is, or if we're right and all of this is for the free energy system, what would those smokestacks be for? I don't know enough, but I see them everywhere that I know for sure. And at the very bottom of Avenue Road is the power plant or whatever. I think that's, I can't remember if it's got a name. But on Queens Quay, there's a big power plant right there that all of this is pointing at. If you go directly down Avenue Road, right to the bottom. So there's the DeSalle College, but that's just another castle. Like, we got castles all over this city. We got Casa Loma right over there. We got the castles of University of Toronto right down Avenue Road right there. These are cool. What's that? It looks like a demon. And it's painted over, clearly. That yellow is not the original. Maybe it is, I don't think so. That looks like a demon to me. That's interesting right there. Speaking of like resonators and all that. The angels on it. More yellow. See, there's the yellows. And that's the red twin. It's got a twin right there. Those are twin pretty much. I guess not exactly, but a lot of yellows and reds, which a skeptic watching could just say, yeah, bricks are yellow and red. What are you going to do? But there's a little more to it than that, I think. Just from driving around the city and seeing all the yellows and all the reds, you know. That's what makes me think that it didn't go the other way around. I didn't try to prove that the yellows and reds are cathodes and anodes and then go around looking for it. It was the other way around. I just started seeing the yellows and the reds everywhere. I mean, right there, what's that street called? Can't remember, but that's a cool house. Right down there, I guess I'll include it because it's part of all this. I don't know if I'm going to go there right now, but there's a huge power plant, like literal Toronto hydro facility that looks like an old building. I don't know, that smokestack right there, I don't know if that's the right terminology, but that's interesting to me. There's kind of more evidence that the front of that hill, just like on Bathurst Street, just like those ones I did on Bathurst Street, where the hill right there for the cars is graded there, but this is graded here. Like the hill for the cars is graded like there, probably. So, I mean, that door is clearly supposed to be a lot bigger than that, right? And I don't know much about those things, but why is that just on an apartment building? There's the underground parking, which just whatever proves, but there's a red right there too. That's the yellow and the red right there. Those could be the twins. Anyways, I don't know what it is. Oh, what's that up there? Look at that. Oops, a little too fast, sorry. It's like you got the more angels there. But look at that dragon head right there. Maybe it got knocked off the other side. So it's not so obvious to the cars driving by. I didn't look, but those are interesting too. Oh no, there's one on the other side right there. Right there, is that it? Yeah, right there. And there's one right there. Right there. That could be one of those alligators. I can't see it too good. So I'm halfway down this hill here, and that building's very interesting, isn't it? Sometimes I wonder if that's some of the snake allegory or whatever comes from that design. But that's an interesting architecture. Up there is the hill, whoops, is the building with the angels on it and everything. Helpful, but there's some of the old buildings. There's that funny architecture. And then there's a pointy right there too. So that's where I just was. I was just parked where that bus is about to pass. I saw a bunch of more pointies right there as I drove past. You'll see them in the dash cam video. But then you have these buildings halfway down this hill. That's the Hare Krishna. And this is the Church of the Messiah Anglican. But it's exactly the same brickwork. Those were built at the exact same time. That looks like the tip of a castle right there. That's the bell tower. That clock would have not been a clock, it would have been a gauge to measure the frequencies. This is clearly a sunken church. This is clearly far, far bigger than it looks. It could be 20 floors deep. The size of this hill, based on the hill from where, I don't know, like that level right there where that white car is right now. Right there. That could, all this hill right there, that could, like this church, you know what I'm saying? That church could be that big or bigger. But these churches, you can clearly see that the windows are sunken, it's not level, it's way deeper over here than it is over there. These ones are graded with the hill artificially, where the hill must have been put after the church. Because you can see those half sunken windows, and then they get bigger, and then they get bigger. So that church has just been purposely, or that structure has been purposely made to look smaller than it really is. And why? Well, that's what we're here to find out. But it definitely has. You could say, oh, they just needed to make the hill like that for the snow, or for, you know, the cars, so they're not sliding down the hill all day. That's fine. That makes sense. But I don't think it's that simple. I don't think it's that simple at all. Or else I wouldn't be able to see Queen's Park again right there. Perfectly centered with this perfect hill. It wouldn't make sense. There's no reason to do that unless it's for some kind of frequencies or... Oh, and there's the ball. I don't know if that was the original ball. But where is it? Right there. And I mean, I know the CN Tower was built in 77, and all these other buildings were built in the 1800s or whatever. But why is the CN Tower always in the background when I'm trying to point out all these pointies? The CN Tower is just always there. I didn't, you know, I didn't mean for it to be there. It's just every time it seems like all these things are pointing there. Right about there is Sodo Sodo, or Sodo Sodo, Drake's favorite restaurant, quote unquote. So, I don't mean so, but I mean also, that's my next stop. I'll probably stop in front of Sodo Sodo, because you can't see that, oh yeah, I wanted to show this. That looks like a castle right there too. Same brickwork, supposedly different building. I don't really know exactly what the theory is there. But if that bridge wasn't there, you'd be able to see Upper Canada College, pointy right there, and the Queen's Park pointy, whoops, right down there, you know. That tower right there, so the bell, that would be the bell to manipulate the frequencies at this point in their journey down this hill. I assume that's what it looks like. I don't think I've heard that theory anywhere. Oh, you can see right there that window's been bricked up. That was a huge window, and doesn't make sense. That's a different, I mean, it might be the same bricks, but they might have knocked down a different building to stone it up. But it wouldn't make sense to make such a huge window at street level like that, right? So that could be like a sixth floor, an eighth floor feature. That's not I've looked at a lot of churches. I don't think you usually have those big windows down that low at street level. That's 100%. That building is, I think it's connected. I think they're all connected, but that building is way bigger than it looks. So we're now at just below Davenport and Avenue. You can see Upper Canada College right there. It looks bigger from down here than it did when I was right in front of it. I don't know if that translates to the video, or I don't know if all the people in Toronto can relate or understand what I'm saying. There's the tower, like, you know, there's the bell that I was saying would have been manipulating those frequencies. It's a Sunday. I don't know why these guys are so upset, but that bell, you can see it's connected to that spire, to that pointy up that hill, and you can see the hill, the grading, purposely to travel those frequencies, in my opinion. Like, it's pretty obvious. And then didn't remember. I mean, you got the yellow building right there, but you got the pointy right there, right? The very first building after, you know what I mean? It's got another pointy on it. And that's Soto. And still, I mean, you still got some pointies, you know, there. And you got the ball right up there with the point on it. I'm surprised they didn't throw a flag on there to make us think it was put there for a flagpole. And you still got Queen's Park. That's the destination for all these frequencies. Those pointies right there. It's obvious. I mean, it's not a theory anymore. It's not a theory. It's just how it is. I mean, this is an example. It might not be, but downtown, I often wonder if those pillars are underneath. I don't think those ones are really. Maybe. Look at the white right there. That could be like a more, like, they put those silver, they put the metal facades over a lot of them to make them look like they're not pillars, I think. But damn, that Hare Krishna building is just screaming at me. That's wild. Look at that pointy right there. It looks like a lot of the crests. It looks like the royal seal or whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to picture, but you might know what I mean. And then there's the other pointy. Like, is that like an older one? And that one worked before the tall buildings, so then they had to make that one. It looks like two different ages, kind of. And then you have Queen's Park. These guys always act like they got something to hide here, but he's going to come out and tell me to move. But this is the next building. That's the same building with that old one on it. The Prince Arthur residences, they don't like you to film here. Every time I try, they run right out, but there's that that type of architecture that we'll see all over the place. That's Cumberland Street. In fact, both of those pointies are on the same building. There's one up there, you can't see it right now. And there's one right there. That is that arch entranceway that I was just at. This is the Church of the Redeemer Anglican. This is a buried church downtown Toronto with a big pointy. That could have been a pointy at one point that's just been covered by that roof, but I bet at one point that was just a straight up pointy that was just connected to those Queen's Park pointies right there. And that's the ROM right there. And there's the CN Tower in the background still, but there's the ROM, insane building. And this sunken church with all these huge buildings, and then that Greek Roman, whatever looking, with the columns on it, and those same exact curly whirlies right there. Devil horns, eyeballs. Weird building, and they just explain it away like, oh, it's weird just because it's beside the museum. We just built that to make it look old, to make the museum area look all museum-y, and we'll name the subway station museum to make all this stuff look artificially like it makes sense when it fucking doesn't. It doesn't. There's Queen's Park pointies right there. They look like octopuses or dragons or something. I wish I could fly a drone up there. So now we're all the way down. We're at the ROM. We're right in front of Queen's Park now. It's right there. Sorry for all the quick, jerky zooms. But you can see, look, you can see that Upper Canada College pointy right there. All the way down those graded, sloped hills, up and down, and up and down, and up and down, and up and down. There's the half-sunken church that looks like it's supposed to be way bigger than it is. There's some Roman-looking building that they say is just what do you call it? Like a copy. I can't think of the word. Those look like the Dutch. Those Dutch gravestones. Look at those pointies up there. I never noticed those before. I don't know what building that would be. And then you have those pointies there. Where is it? Right there. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, right there. Come on, guys. It's not a theory. It's not a theory. Those are all connected. And then you have this stupid building right here that's obviously... Those are sunken doors, half-size doors. I don't even really want to... Like, there's the carving. There's those U's, those fake V's that they all carved on the exact same day. Ontario Museum. Shout out Smooth. That's not like just a building that they built to be a museum. That's a building that was here for 1,000 years already. Oh, they covered up those Chinese statues. The shushu. I wonder why they did that. Up there, you got all your carvings, and they say that it's just to be museum-y, right? Like they carved these in the 90s just to make it look like a museum, and they built this huge stone building just for the dinosaur bones. And it's got a fucking moat around it. So that's how that water, you would fill those moats with water to cool off like the circuit. Like this, if this building was a circuit, then it would make sense to have that there. What's this? That's weird. It would make sense to have the moat there, right? And then you still have an old stone church right there. You got your pointy spires right there. I mean, you got the University of Toronto right there, and those ones, I'm gonna go there right now. Those ones, you can clearly see that they have, not fire damage, that they have, like, that could be weathering, that could be fire. But I instead of talking about it, I'm just gonna show it. Oh yeah. Two seconds away from the ROM now. And we have these. There's the date up there, AD 1902. Who wants to bet that's 902 or that's 90? It does look, I mean, at first glance, it looks properly centered and everything. I don't see any glaring, obvious. But these guys are tricky, you never know. So this building, I never really looked at it, but it's got a couple things. So we're at Queen's Park. We got a pointy, we got this supposed monument right there. You got the Queen's Park stuff's behind it. You got Whitney Block right there, one of my favorite buildings, Toronto's Ghost Tower that matches up with Commerce Court. That has a big hole in the roof of it. I'm sure it's for, what's that word, like off gassing. I don't know what the word would be, like, oh, and then what's that right there? Is that a smokestack? I'm not sure where that is. I have a feeling that the hole in the roof of Whitney Block is for like cooling down the circuits and stuff, if that makes sense. That's a door. Should be bigger. Looks like it could have been bigger. What does that say? What are those? What's this guy doing with my car? It says Jesus. No, Jesus is a way. I can't read it. The life, and the life was the light. I gotta go, but I'll look at these later. But I just wanted to show that there's a, first of all, that ball. We were talking about the other ball, but that's the, like, I don't know, man. That seems connected to me, but I also wanted to point out that a lot of the churches, that thing is missing, but in this one it's there, but I don't know if that's the original thing that was always there, or who that is. Oh, is that the Statue of Liberty? I don't know exactly who that is. Kind of looks a little cramped in that, like it wasn't really made for that, you know? But I thought that was interesting that there's something there, because usually there's nothing there. So there's the ROM. There's supposedly the, whatever, Space Center. I forget what you call those things, but, some of us don't believe in space anymore. That looks very old. The building that it's a part of is clearly very old. Be making fun of Screech for wanting to go to it or something, you know? Can't think of the word. There's it's an old building. Sunken windows. Now I'm about to lap because I'm back at the university. I'm back at Queen's Park, so I already have a video about all that. But just so that I can go full circle, there's the pointy up there. And those are the same pointies that I think, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. Those are 100%. Those are what I was just saying, instead of explaining it, I'm going to just go to it. And so I'll do that now. And is that Robart's library in the background? It looks like it, but I can't remember if geographically that would make sense exactly. Anyways. That was these, and you can see that they've been clearly used as part of an energy grid. They're not burnt from a fire, they're burnt from being used as resonators. Every one of these, that's where all of those things were pointing at, and those are all electrical resonators as part of a huge power grid. Those windows, all of this stuff is all technology. And you can see the black on these from being used. It's burnt. It's not burnt from fire. It's burnt from charges. And they put all the university students through here because if you have a piece of paper from this university, you basically have a piece of paper saying that you're a fucking idiot. You have a piece of paper saying that you looked at this every day for 4 years or 6 years and 8 years and never even realized the obvious thing that's pointing right in your face, that those things are charred. A university degree is a piece of paper that says you've memorized a ton of lies. There's the big smokestack. I don't know what they're for. I don't know how it works, but they're always there. They're always there. That entranceway right there is way smaller than it should be. And all these tourists, all these people that walk through here, you are sealing your fate. You're saying, I'm an idiot because I don't notice that this is what this really is. And when you get to the pearly gates, when you get to St. Peter or whatever, he's going to say, you were selfish, you were lazy, you were stupid, you just lived a life to get money and care about yourself and your own family and your own shit, and you accomplished nothing while you were on Earth because you forgot your purpose. You allowed yourself to forget why you're here, to forget your purpose. I'm not just trying to diss university students, but you guys run the world, and look at it. Look what you've done to it. Look what you've done to it. You guys run the world. You guys are the people who are in charge, and you fucked it all up. You're doing a shitty job. you're living and dying for money, for careers, even for family, when that's not what we're here for. That's not what we're here for. It's not Harry Potter. This is technology. This whole field right here too is clearly because it's not it's not structurally sound. Is that a bell tower to manipulate to resonate the frequencies? There's too many churches, first of all. There's too many castles. There's too many churches. And then there's that. And if you look at that every day and you don't realize what it is, you're doing yourself a disservice. Anyway. Hey, so I just want to add here that somebody once told me that right to the right of those buildings, right in the middle of the screen right now, behind that lamppost, that there's a secret underground fraternity, and that you can knock on a door and go to secret underground frat parties down there. I don't know too much about it. I never really walked over there, but if you know about it, let me know. Get in there? I don't think so. Can't get in and out. Sure. So there is Whitney Block, the ghost tower. Right here is this big old church that's just like kind of inconspicuously there at this corner of College and Elizabeth, right by the Cabbage. I'm gonna do the full circle around, but it connects to other ones. But look at this building. That's what people would call a Tartarian building for sure, right? And Look at all the resonators. That doorway is smaller than it should be. There's a couple floors missing clearly. You got the bell tower right there on the roof. And you also have this old building. That's the Mars Project. Shout out my homie Conspiracy. Kari Stewart, rest in peace. That's the Mars Project right there. And look what this have on the roof. I'm going to splice this all with the dash cam footage so it'll make sense, I think, in the end. But, what is that? You could park a dirigible on it and charge it. It could also connect to that power grid, right? That's a crazy building right there. I just want to get those angels in that Victoria school for sick children right there quick if I can. The Mars Project, there it is, right at the base of this hill. Big yellow anode. I wonder where the red one is. Let's see if I can zoom in on some of this. I should put this shit in the park. So I'm back where I started my Queen's Park video. There's a pointy right there. I got a better camera this time than I had last time. There's Queen's Park. There's the octopuses. I don't know what those things are exactly, but that's a resonator. Oh, I can't wait to get home and look at this on a bigger TV. But what else do we have that I missed last time? Like, there's all this faces and design work in there. is that? Is that a pineapple or the acorn that we saw before? I don't know. Anyways, there's Whitney Block there, hole in the roof, part of the circuit. But I just wanted to show full circle. I mean, there's the white bike from my Queen's Park video, but I just think it's insane. That's that rounded building right there. It's got the frequency towers on the roof there or whatever. But I was pointing at that ball, that green ball, that whole trip down Avenue Road, and look what we have. That's the pointies that I was pointing at the whole time. And right there, you have that ball with the point on top of it, right? There we go, full circle. That's the Avenue Road video. I mean, I could keep going down. Actually, I think I'll have one more slide for this. I'm going to show down University. So they say Doug Ford's office is centered in the very center with Queen's Park down there. I think this security guard is going to tell. Here's the other side of those buildings. Those stacks, that's the smokestack I was wondering about, I think. There's a lot of pointies.
That when you look at the word great or grand in terms of genealogy, that as you go back each generation, that you're one generation removed from history. So your great grandparents would remember an event or how things were, and then they pass a little bit of that on to their children, and their children pass a little bit of that on, and it dilutes to an extent where we don't know anything. So for example, my grandparents' generation, my grandfathers both fought in the Second World War, but the strange thing with that is that they're not around now to ask them anything, and I wish I could go back and ask them things that I didn't think of or wasn't interested in at the time when they were around. But they didn't speak about the war. There were certain things that generation didn't talk about, and we used to have a saying in England: don't mention the war.
Yes.
Just don't talk about it. And I imagine that's been instilled, that there are certain things you just don't talk about. And then the next generation come along and they don't know anything about it at all because it was never discussed. So I imagine you've got a little bit of that going on, and before you know it, the history's forgotten.
That's right. Yeah. So when people, sometimes might find our material offensive because it's not what they understand about their history, that's never been my intention, because, all of us have been badly lied to, and I was trying to I actually feel like everything's been so badly whitewashed that,
Yes.
you know, there's a lot of white people that probably need to step back and go, yeah, you know, it's not what you think it is at all.
No, I think it's completely inverted, and I think that's probably the case in lots of places, and I certainly think America, which is where I've spent a lot of my attention on, with really because of the World's Fairs that were held there and the orphan train movement, that they've whitewashed everything. They've given credit to white people for creating these incredible structures and cities that they didn't. And I would suggest that perhaps it was the Moors and people like the Moors that did all this. So not only have they literally gone to the World's Fairs with white paint and painted over everything, but they've painted over the history and made it look like white people came along and did all of the look that this is what we did. We came here and within 5 minutes look what we'd done. No, you didn't. You've stolen other people's architecture. You've taken credit for things you didn't do, and you've made out that incredibly advanced civilizations that can achieve things like this were primitive.
Mm-hmm.
And this needs exposing.
It does, yeah.
Something was fishy because from the beginning you get to see that every politician, every people in charge, they're all actors. The Biden, Trump, each and every one of them, they're all playing a game. They're all playing us a game. I don't understand what's going on, man. This place is a setup. It's a show. When you understand it, it's a show. I don't know what we're doing here, man. Maybe they keep us for parts, or I don't know, man. What I know is that we're cleaning up the mess that happened, and we're restarting that machine because this place is a machine. It's a huge machine. That's what I end up led me to believe, to understand. Wired the word. They destroyed it to end up to what they're doing it today. Because if you look carefully at Google Earth, you'll notice that they are just scraping everything everywhere. But then again, when you look carefully, it's not that's there. It's all patched up. It's all one map. They show you all one map, and it's all patched up, and it's all. I don't know what it is. I don't even know if it's the Earth, man. to be honest with you, some places are so weird. Like you can't say that it's natural. And when you play the matrix on it, you see, man, oh, this is a part. This is a part of the machine.
Yeah.
You understand that it's a machine. And then when you understand that the Earth is a machine, and you go further, you see that every building that the cathedral, the churches, the parliament, each and every one of them, they crown that matrix. So you understand that they don't live on top. They didn't live on top. They live under. The top was, I don't know, when it was nice weather, I guess, because they lived under. I believe that this place is a Swiss cheese under. It's full of hole, and it's full of people under. I don't believe it's as above as below. When I look at the sky, I look at picture of the stars in the sky. Man, with your naked eyes, you can see the wormhole going through. It's not what they say it is. It ain't what they say it is. With the naked eyes, you can see it ain't what they say it is. It is something else. I can't say what it is. Actually, I have more questions. I think I have more questions now than I had at the beginning. What gets me the most angry is seeing that there's from what I understood, there's a rogue society, and that rogue society is living off our work. It's as simple as that. They're just enslaving us. They're just keeping us in the dark about what's going on for real. I believe this is cyclic. I believe this is a continual repeating. This is repeating itself. That's what I don't know. Actually, I don't know, man. I'm at a point that I started these research because I didn't want to come back here with my memory erased. I was looking for God. I wasn't looking for knowing that this place is a machine. I was looking for God. I wanted not to come back with my memory erased. Because some people see reincarnation as a God gift. I see it as a damnation. Because I don't want to go. I don't want to come back here. I don't want to be slave to these guys again. Never again. I don't want to. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be a slave. And this place is slavery. So that's what I was looking for. And I found out that I believe we're prisoner here. We're stuck to always come back. So I understood that, okay, if that's the point, if that's the way it is, only way to get better is get better here. Because when we're going to come back, if we don't do nothing now, when we're going to come back, it's going to be worst. Next time, the chains are going to be back, you know? So sometimes I'm there telling people what's happening. And look, they're killing everything. And it doesn't get you. What about the others? And they look at me and they say, oh, the other, they'll fix themselves. This is very selfish. And this is unknowing that the next one is himself, because we always come back. You see, people are not ready to give up something for the next one.
Yeah.
But next one, it's them. So selfishness gets you to worse treatment. So what's left? Trying to awake people to what's going on. But what's going on? I know we're cleaning. We're cleaning that place. That's what we're doing. Looking at Google Earth with logic thinking, you see it. It's obvious. It's like everything. How can you know what work is? You know the value of things. I know that for what I use, for what I personally use in a week, I need to work, let's say, 2 days a week to compensate, for what I'm using. So the rest of the 3 days of my week are going to someone else, but not only mine, yours, everybody. So yeah. I know that if I keep money of 3 weeks, 3 days of work a week for a year, I'm going to end up with a lot of money. But imagine if I keep 3 days a week of everybody, every day. Somehow, somewhere, I'd show up. My house would grow bigger. My diamond ring would grow bigger. My car would grow bigger. You understand? You'd end up seeing me. If I'd have a lot of money, you'd see me more than anyone else. I'd have that chopper on the roof, and you don't see that. You don't see no Elon Musk nowhere, do you? No. I don't. Where is that money going? Where is all the good going? I don't believe they buy all those planes for war and all those tanks for war. I don't believe that. I believe they buy a couple to show us, and the rest is all bogus because they're all friends. They're all connected together. All the parliaments are connected by underneath together. There's not that. They're not fighting war. We are. We don't decide to go to war. They are. That's how they get rid of us. It's easy, man. And they have all the cards. They have all the cards, all the joker. I'm telling you, we're not in a good position.
And then we have experts, and people think, oh, you're only smart if you're an expert. And the whole school, university system, this person's smart because they've got a degree, which we know isn't true. Like having a degree doesn't make you intelligent or anything. Just gives you more information that's probably not very well researched that you end up repeating.
Yeah, and that's all you're doing, isn't it? You're regurgitating it's your ability with a lot of degrees, your ability to retain information and then recite it on demand.
Yeah, they don't want the thinkers there.
No.
And we've seen it, like in archaeology, people find things that are outside, the story, and they get told, oh, no, cover that up and don't talk about it. And if they do, they don't just lose their jobs, they basically get laughed out of the whole industry.
Yeah.
And that obviously we've seen that with, medical, and have to toe the line, right? So you're not learning to think, you're learning, like you say, just to regurgitate and proliferate their story, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that, like, I watched Star Wars again the other day, the first 3.
Nice.
And I just kept seeing Tartaria. or how I envisage it to look. I kept seeing it throughout the whole trilogy. I kept seeing it all the time, and then I kept thinking about the Force. Use the Force, Luke, and all that. And I kept thinking, is that the ether? Is that early indoctrination? I mean, for me, you know, as a kid when they first came out, is that early indoctrination for us? And then it's been morphed into Harry Potter for a newer generation. Same story. Switch the lightsaber to a wand, and you've got the same story.
Yeah, pretty much. They're all kind of the same, aren't they? I guess it's like the hero's journey kind
Mm,
of story. But yeah, Star Wars, yeah, when they show like the cities and stuff, like it's very high tech, right? And then some of it's very low tech, but
mm,
and then we have the fantasy side, and I think they're telling us in all of this, and who knows what the reason is, probably just to laugh at us, but they show us that there's tech, especially in Star Wars, right, where you get these kind of scapes of like people that are farmers, right, and they're living in the desert in a dome or
yeah,
whatever. They got robots and they got free energy and stuff, so it
yeah,
kind of shows that it's all there. And then the high tech, I think it's all based on stuff that they've found or they've heard about, right, that they destroyed or that they've probably still got for themselves maybe. And then fantasies, the other side is like say the ether, controlling the ether, like
mm,
for through your own avatar, because I think this is what jewelry is essentially, things like crowns, with, where you have a gemstone sitting on your third eye there, and then the necklaces where there's one sitting on your heart chakra, and, they wear gold and silver, right? And I think that's tech, you
do
know?
you? Have you
Yeah.
heard the theory about the gemstones on the crowns being synthetic precious stones that made from the
You can
ashes
grow
of
them.
mm,
Made from what, the ashes? No.
the ashes of people? Yeah, 'cause you know that you can send off
Oh,
ashes and have a synthetic precious stone created. So, like
no,
what?
I did
Yeah,
not
well,
know.
our one of our dogs died a couple of months ago, and we were looking into it, and a few people had said, you can get it made, the ashes made into a stone. There's quite a few companies that will do that, the synthetic diamond or whatever you want. So, but when I looked into it and I started doing some digging, a couple of people reached out because I'd mentioned it a few times. A couple of people reached out and they said, that the stones on these crowns are actually synthetic precious stones made from the ashes of people that they have conquered, killed, eliminated.
God, it's a bit dark, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't know you could turn ashes into gemstones. That's
yeah, yeah. There's
interesting.
quite a few companies that do it, and I thought, well, you look at the crown jewels, the British royal family. What if they are made from people that they have conquered? Let's say, for example, Jesus existed and he was killed at the end of the millennial reign or the Tartarian Empire, and that is the most precious stone that exists. So what do you think is going on then? Do you think that they've got an end game, or are
I,
we in it?
well, yeah, I kind of think we're in it. I think, um, with all the research, obviously, especially with orphan trains and your research, with Cabbage Patch Kids, it looks, we've always kind of known this, right? It looks like that there's more than one kind of being down here.
Mm,
Uh, and I've always kind of said about, the Allies is that they're not us. But I believe a lot of them have been taken over, and that's why they're not us, sold their soul, or they got the
yeah,
real their eyeball or whatever it is. But I think their game is to control us and to have a slave species that looks after them. And I think that they know that this time is coming, that there's going to be earth changes and frequency changes that they can't stop. And so they're just trying to hold on to a population. And I think the way that they think they can do that is to keep the vibration low.
yeah,
If we're talking about this change, and it seems to be is a frequency thing, then maybe if they can keep people in a low enough frequency, um, that those people will stay, right? You know, when the earth change comes. I mean, do they know there's going to be a split? You know, there's been talk about that there's going to be like sort of a split to a two earth type, you know, a new earth, this kind of thing. Or is it just that they want their populations to controlling 15-minute cities and,
Yeah.
you know, and we'll just sort of be living outside there? Because I think they know that they can't control us, but that's also why I think there may be the clones, right? There may be a cloned population, each of these people with no internal monologue, the people that you can't talk to, they're complete systemites. They want authority. They want someone to tell them what to do and when they're right and when they're wrong. And they're the people who, you know, laugh at people who get pulled up by the police. Ha ha ha, ha, look, they're getting robbed on the highway. Woo woo. You know, these kind of people that they're not like us, right? Like that there's a clear difference. And it's mainly in their thinking that they don't think. So